Welcome back, Sebastian here. So today I'm back for my Spanish Grand Prix preview. So it's a race that I'm actually quite looking forward to, despite the fact that traditionally races here haven't always been the best, especially for on-track action. So taking a look at last year's race to start, Verstappen won last year, Perez was second, and George Russell was third in the Mercedes. Some of the notable moments from last year's race include Charles Leclerc getting pole and leading for the vast majority of the first half of the race before retiring with an engine problem. There was quite a few excursions into the gravel as well, most notably by Verstappen and Sainz, both at turn 4. So it was quite gusty and quite windy last year, so it did catch both drivers out at turn 4. Hamilton also had a very good comeback from basically back to the grid to 6th place after getting front wing damage and a puncture, I believe, on the opening lap after contact with Kevin Magnussen. So the track this year is actually new. Well, it's the old track that we're now going back to because they basically have taken out the old chicane at turn 14. So we're going to expect much higher speeds. So I was looking around historically to see if there's been, between different series, I've used both the old circuit and the new circuit recently, and FRECA, so Formula Regional Europe. Basically in 2021 they did the old circuit, and their time this year when they just did it again this year was about 5 seconds faster. So I don't know what the ballpark is, but I think 5 seconds is probably a good ballpark for how much faster it should be this year. Of course, it's also a very front limited circuit, which means that the front tires and your grip from the front tires are the limiting factor, the factor that determine how fast you can go around the track. So very different from Monaco. This is probably going to be fairly close to Australia. So that was a track that Red Bull did pretty well at, but also was Mercedes' best track to date so far this season. It should be, and also because of the nature of the corners, lots of very long right-hand corners, tire wear should be very high. So it's a track that we should see a two-stop strategy at. Which of course is good for some of the cars that have been pretty good on their tires, like the Red Bull and the Aston Martin. However, I do expect this weekend to go pretty poorly for Ferrari, who have been quite honestly poor with their tire deck and tire management this year. However, there is a risk of rain on both Saturday and Sunday, so that could definitely put any kind of predictions based on previous races into complete chaos. But I think it would be nice to see a wet race at the Spanish Grand Prix. I can honestly not off the top of my head, I can't remember the last time we had a wet race at the Spanish Grand Prix. I think you might have to go back to Schumacher's crazy win in the wet, only in 5th gear, I believe. But I think besides that, it's generally a pretty dry country, so we don't really get a ton of wet races there. So just to finish off with some predictions for the Spanish Grand Prix, I think given the nature of the track, I think it's pretty safe to assume Red Bull 1-2, like many of the other races so far this season. Of course, either Verstappen or Perez make one colossal mistake, or they have like mechanical reliability problems. I would expect a Verstappen-Perez 1-2. Of course, if it rains, all bets are off, and I think there was a good chance that Perez may struggle a bit more in the rain. I think for the final podium spot for me, it's between Alonso and Hamilton. Given that Mercedes should be better this week, but that being said, it is Fernando Alonso, it is his home Grand Prix in Spain, so I think it's really hard to bet against him, especially given that the Aston Martin's tire deck has been pretty good, and that's one of their strengths this year. And Alonso himself has also always been generally very good around this track as well. So that's all for the Spanish Grand Prix preview. Let me know on your thoughts. I'll be, of course, back with qualifying in the race. So that should be quite a lot of fun. So thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, it really helps out. And please leave a comment down below. Who do you think, actually I'm not going to do who's going to win because I think that'll be too easy, but who do you think will be the best non-Red Bull driver this weekend? Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.